Oh wait, I got it. Facebook video day.
Well, this morning in Sunday school, we talked about the story of Joshua. Moses has died, and then Joshua took his place to lead the people into the promised land, a place they've never been before. Now, all of y'all, how many of you have already started school?
Get up.
Already started school, and how many of the rest of you are starting school this week? How many of you are starting school this week? Now, are you going back to the same teacher in the same classroom you had last year? No, you're not going to be with the same exact people. You're not going to be with the same exact teacher, probably. Yeah. And so, you're going to a new place. And the scripture told the people, the Israelites, to be brave and be strong. And you've got to do that whenever you do something new, especially if you're going to do something hard. Now, is school going to be hard? Well, if it's not hard, then you're not going to learn anything. You've got to be a little, so that you'll actually learn something, so that it'll challenge you. I hope it's just a little bit hard, so that you learn something. Now, if you do something hard, though, you've got to be brave and be strong. So, I need you to say, I am brave, I am strong. Sometimes the adults need to learn to be brave and strong. You want to see if the adults can do it? Let's see if they can be louder than you. I am brave and I am strong.
I am brave and I am strong.
Wow, do you think y'all can be louder than them? Okay, let's see. I am brave and I am strong.
I am brave and I am strong.
That was great. That was great. And you know why they said they could be brave and strong? Because over and over again, God said, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be with you. And that's how you can be brave and strong, because it's when you're not by yourself. You're not doing this all by yourself. And then he said, you've got to keep the instructions that I gave to Moses. I know Moses is gone, but the instructions that I gave you still have. Now, where do we find those instructions today?
The Bible.
We find them in the Bible. Well, I got a little presentation today for the kids in the older kids' Sunday school class. We want to make sure if you're in 3rd through 5th grade that you have a Bible, because we read the Bible every week in that class. So, stand up if you're in that class. Stand up if you're in my older kids' class. There we go. And Jadarius, where's Jadarius? Jadarius, you got to come up here and get your Bible. No, they're not. They're in youth now. They're all in youth now. So we got, the church got the Bibles, and we ordered the Ariana one today. We got the Bibles so that they can all have one to read at home. It's the same kind of Bible that we read in Sunday school. But we really want y'all to have this, and I'll wrap yours up. We'll have it next Sunday. And we really want y'all to have that from the church so that you will learn a lot, and maybe you can grow and teach us one day. Does that sound good? That sounds good. So let's thank God for these kids. Well, let's pray first. Let's pray. Thank God for our kids. God, we know you're with us. Help us to notice how close you really are, just as Jacob realized how close you really are to us. And help us to learn from you and to keep these instructions from Moses alive and in our hearts and minds. Amen. Amen. Let's thank God for our kids. Who's our children's church? Well, if you want to go to children's church, you go to Miss Susan.
But if you want to stay here,
But if you want to stay here, that is just fine.
okay, come on, let's go. Let's go down this road.
Oh, Dave, I'm sorry. Watch the code. Watch the code. Watch the code. No. You're so lucky.
I'm thrilled to death every day. Thank you very much.
Now, I want y'all to tell me, how well can you hear me if I'm down here on the floor?
7.5.
How can you hear me? Being honest, Anita. Can you hear me all right, or do you want me to use the microphone?
I can hear you.
Okay. Now, you have permission to do a little of this, because sometimes I don't always say the last syllable of the word, so sometimes it doesn't come across. I did theater for many years, so I can usually take constructive criticism, especially from Miss DeArt, if she's going to tell me to project and enunciate. I know, really, I'm serious. Like, if Carly's done the same thing, and I told her, keep telling me if you cannot hear me, because my theater professors would be ashamed if I didn't keep it up. I want to start with this intro before I read the scripture. And it's a meditation and a preview of what's going on with Jacob. So let's first think personally. When have you damaged your relationships with others? Personal question, right? When have you damaged your relationships with others? When have others damaged their relationship with you? Think of an example. And think of maybe your initial reaction when someone hurt you, or when you hurt somebody else. What was the initial reaction? Frustration, anger, pain, sadness. That's all normal. Now, fast forward over this conflict. So what eventually happened? What eventually happened? Was there resolution reached? Was there reconciliation reached? Maybe not. Maybe there was forgiveness, but not reconciliation. Maybe you just put them out of your mind. Maybe you just distracted yourself. Now, Jacob, you're at peace with some people in your life, and my guess is that you're not at total peace with all people at all times in your life. Jacob is our main character. We've been with him for the past couple of weeks. He has had a lot of turbulence in his relationships. He cheated his brother Esau, lied to his father. Now then he went to move with his family to live with his uncle Laban. Laban cheated him. And now finally, when we pick up the story here, Jacob and his family are parting from Laban and their family. They've decided to part ways because he's had enough of Laban's lying and manipulation. Let's go back to the new country, to Canaan, back to Isaac, the land of Isaac and Jacob, where they moved to. And so, but he doesn't tell his uncle Laban that he's leaving. So Laban gets word, and Laban's upset. He goes after to find Jacob, and strangely enough, God comes to him and says, watch what you say to Jacob. Don't say anything to him, good or bad. God is watching over Jacob. And they meet up. They don't fight. Well, they fight. They argue a little bit. And they decide that the resolution we're going to reach is to live separately. This is going to be an amicable separation, and here is the boundary. They set up a boundary line and say, I won't cross over that boundary to your land. You won't cross over here to my land to do each other harm. This is like a divorce. And it's probably best for Jacob and Laban because they cannot trust each other any longer, not to cheat each other. And sometimes that has to happen. They even have a meal together. They sit down, have a meal together. They are at peace with one another. But that peace needed separation to stay peaceful. And sometimes that's the answer to some of our relationships. But after this, Jacob is on his way home to see his brother Esau. And he doesn't want to be separated from Esau anymore. He wants real reconciliation with his brother Esau. And so he sends messengers ahead of him to kind of see how Esau's doing. And the messengers come back and say, well, Esau is actually on his way to meet you, and he's got 400 men with him. So the last time Jacob left Esau 20 years ago, he heard that Esau was going to kill him. So what's he thinking? I might be in trouble. So he even separates his family into two groups. And he's like, if he attacks one group, maybe the other group will escape. And then something interesting happens. It takes a little twist. Jacob prays. Jacob said, Lord God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, who said to me, go back to your country and your relatives. I'll make sure things go well to you. I don't deserve how loyal and truthful you've been to your servant. I went away across the Jordan with just my staff, but now I've become two camps. Save me from my brother Esau. I'm afraid he will come and kill me, the mothers and their children. You were the one who told me, I will make sure things go well for you, and I will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, so many that you won't be able to count them. So once again, Jacob is in an in-between space. He's anxious. So he was in this place before, when he was running from his brother Esau to his family. And in that in-between space, God came to him in the river. And that was the beginning of his relationship with God. God came to him. And now that he's coming back, he goes to God this time in prayer and in confession. And so what he decides to do, I'm going to send gifts ahead of me to my brother Esau, a whole lot of flocks to give to him, to appease him. He says, Jacob thought, I may be able to pacify Esau with the gift I'm sending ahead. When I meet him, perhaps he will be kind to me. So Jacob sent the gift ahead of him, but he spent the night in the camp. So Jacob wants reconciliation. He does what he thinks is the best thing he can do. And then he rests and wants to sleep on it. And here's where our scripture for today picks up. Jacob got up during the night, took his 2 wives, his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the Jabbok River's shallow water. He took them and everything that belonged to him, and he helped them cross the river. But Jacob stayed apart by himself, and a man wrestled with him until dawn broke. When the man saw that he couldn't defeat Jacob, he grabbed Jacob's thigh and tore a muscle from Jacob's thigh as he wrestled with him. The man said, let me go, because the dawn is breaking. But Jacob said, I won't let you go until you bless me. So he said to Jacob, what is your name? He said to Jacob. And he said, your name won't be Jacob any longer, but Israel, because you struggled with God at mid and won. Jacob also asked and said, tell me your name. But he said, why do you ask for my name? And he blessed Jacob then. Jacob named the place Peniel, because he said, I've seen God face to face, and my life has been saved. The sun rose as Jacob passed Peniel, limping because of his thigh. Therefore, Israelites don't eat the tendon attached to the thighs until this day, because he grabbed Jacob's thigh muscle of the tendon. The word of God for the people of God. So, Jacob wrestles with his strange, nocturnal visitor, a divine visitor, and he wants something from this visitor, a blessing. Let's go back and make it personal again. What do you want from God? What is typical that we want from God? You can listen to all of our prayers to get a sense of what we want from God. We want to be protected, comforted, accompanied in life. We want to be provided for, guided, maybe even avenged sometimes if it may be solved. We want God to give us good things that will last and to give good things to those we love. Jacob wants something from God, a blessing. But here's what's interesting. This goes really fast, but he asks for a blessing and he does not get it right away. 3 things have to happen before he gets blessed. First, Jacob has to reveal his name. Notice that the man asked, what's your name? Jacob has to reveal his name. And at that time, that's not just a sound. Your name meant something about your character then. And Jacob was named because he came out of the womb grabbing his brother's heel. And the word Jacob means a supplanter, one who kind of takes the place of somebody else, maybe by means of cheating, which is, of course, exactly what Jacob does. He lives into his name by supplanting his brother Esau and cheating his way to the blessing. And so what he's doing, when he says his name, he's not just saying his name, he's confessing his character, who he is. I'm a cheater, is what he's saying. And so God says to him, I'm going to give you a new name. Because it's not just a name, it's a new identity. It says, no longer will you be known as Jacob as a cheater. Now you will be known as Israel. The name that means one who wrestles with God. To wrestle with God, that means you are close to God, even if it is difficult and even if it is painful. So now you are no longer a cheater. You are now one who's close to God. That will be your new way of life. That will be your new purpose in life. And then thirdly, Jacob's like, well, what's your name? I want to know your character too. I want to know what you are, who you are. Because at that time, if you knew the name of a divine being, you could kind of summon that spirit, and summon that spirit's power, kind of like an incantation, an invocation. So if you knew the name of a god or a demon or something, you could have control over it. So what does Jacob want? He wants some control over God. And what does God say? Why do you want to know mine? Then he blesses. God will not be contained by Jacob. He won't let Jacob put him in a box. And I think these three things have to happen before Jacob can be blessed. He has to reveal himself. He's already done it in that prayer of confession. Reveal himself, receive a new name, a new purpose in life, a new identity. And then thirdly, give up the idea that he's going to contain or know God's mystery. Because God will not be contained or controlled. Only then is he blessed. And the reason, and then not only then is he blessed, then what happens next? Then he meets his brother Esau. And so, I think that this prepared him for meeting Esau. So I want to read in Scripture what happens next. Jacob looked up and saw Esau approaching with 400 men. So think of this image. The sun is rising on the horizon. Jacob, Israel is looking, and he's still by himself, and he sees his brother Esau with 400 men on the horizon. He divides the children among Leah and Rachel, the two women. He puts the servants and their children first, Leah and her children after them, Rachel and Joseph last. And he himself went in front of them and bowed to the ground 7 times as he was approaching his brother. But Esau ran to meet him, threw his arms around his neck, kissed him, and they wept. Esau looked up and saw the children and women and said, "Who are these with you?" Jacob said, "The children that God generously gave your servant." The women servants and their children came forward and bowed down. Then Leah and her servants also came forward and bowed. And afterward Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed. And Esau said, "What was the meaning of this entire group of animals that I met before I met you?" And Jacob said, "To ask for my master's kindness." Esau said, "I have plenty, my brother. What's yours?" Notice what Jacob said. Jacob calls his brother my master, and I'm your servant. And then what does Esau say? My brother. Notice his words. Jacob said, "No, please, do me the kindness of accepting my gift. Seeing your face is like seeing God's face, since you've accepted me so warmly. Take this present that I brought, because God has been generous to me, and I have everything that I need." So Jacob persuaded him, and he took it. So Jacob, in wrestling that night, has seen the face of God. And now he has a humble and close relationship with God. And because he has that relationship with God, he can see God in others. See it in others. Because he humbled himself before God, he can humble himself before his brother. Because he asked forgiveness from God, he can ask forgiveness from others. Because he confessed himself to God, he can confess his sins to others. And so after 20 years of separation, he is in a loving relationship with his brother Esau again. And think about it from Esau's point of view. He too, the last time we knew anything about him, he wanted to kill his brother. So he has found it in his heart a way to forgive his brother. And he is showing for such forgiveness that he exudes the Spirit of God, you can see God's face in because he shows mercy like God shows mercy. Jacob can see God in Esau. I really think Jacob's the star of the story here. Both of these men can be our role models. Both of them let go of their hate and their resentment. So before we end, I want to walk through what that looks like. If you have resentment in your heart, which is a form of hatred, that resentment, that disliking that you just can't let go of, how do you do that? How do you get rid of that? There are at least 4 steps. The first step is distracting yourself. That's one way to deal with it. Don't give that person space in your mind. Do something joyful. The next step you can take is emotionally distancing yourself from the pain. They're going to live their life and I'm going to live mine. Think about probably what Esau did. Jacob's gone, but he has that resentment. Maybe he goes out hunting because that will distract him. And then finally he just says, Jacob's living his life separately from mine. I'm going to distance myself from him emotionally. But then finally, Esau finds the will to forgive his brother. Forgiveness means you realize that other person is not all bad and I'm not all good. And that is willingness to say, you know what, I want good things for that person and I'm going to remember the good things about that person, the gifts that person has. Forgiveness is letting somebody into your heart again. And I want to pray for them. But the next step, and this is a different step, is reconciliation. And that can only happen if you can trust someone again. Because if you trust them, if you're in an abusive relationship and you get out, and that person is not going to change, then you cannot trust them enough to be reconciled to them. You can forgive them, but you cannot be reconciled to them. Thank you, Edith. Just one more minute. But Esau has clearly forgiven his brother and said, I trust that Jacob has matured. Over 20 years, we are not children, we are not young men anymore. I trust that was done out of immaturity, and I think we can have a relationship. Reconciliation is not possible, I think, in all of our relationships, and it may not be possible in all of yours, but it is possible in some of them. And I pray that if you go through this pattern that Jacob goes through, confession, humbling yourself, revealing yourself to God and others, receiving a new way of life from God, then I think you can undo some of that damage that's been done. Now, Jacob and Esau are showing more love to each other in that passage than they ever showed. And as we mature, and as you mature, you can show more love to others as well. Amen?
Amen.